Hello, welcome back to Code It Live. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you might be. We are getting back on with .NET Dev Show. With me, I have my good friend Steve, who I will introduce in just a minute. We'll have Steve introduce himself. Thankfully, you don't need to look at me coding and failing today, because I have my good friend Steve here to show us the ropes. Steve, how are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. All right. So chat room is starting to get there. Hey, hello, hello. I am in the northwest corner of Pennsylvania in the Americas, and Steve is actually across the pond, not the big pond, like not in Europe. He's across the little pond called Lake Erie
Yeah.
over in Canada. You are in Kingston now?
Yeah. So I'm in
Yeah.
Kingston, Ontario. So
Nice.
a little bit away from Montreal, my hometown, but yeah, Kingston, Ontario now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known Steve for a long time because you used to live in Columbus, Ohio, right, for some time?
Yeah. We lived in Columbus for about 3 years, and yeah, that's where I met you. Yeah.
Yeah, here we are. All right, so Steve, tell us what you do. Where are things at with you?
So I am an engineer on the Uno platform team, right? So I'm one of the maintainers of the open source project. Building lots of cool stuff that I'm excited to share with you about. And we have a lot of cool things, but it's a lot of core maintenance of the core product, but also building some really cool stuff that we can get into, but also like things around the platform. So like the Uno Toolkit and the Uno Material Design Library and all those fun things. So that's sort of the area that I like maintain the most, are those also free and open source tooling that surrounds the Uno platform or is a part of the Uno platform. So that's sort of my main focus within the team, really. Yeah.
Nice. And Steve is being very subtle here with the with the back panel of Uno platform. We
Oh,
see it.
yeah.
We see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
thank
forgot
you
I was
for
there. Yeah.
no, thank you for what you
Yeah.
all do. I think the .NET ecosystem. We keep saying that it's a really good time to be a .NET developer because like we have seen the earlier times. Like I'm really old. I remember the early days of .NET 2, 3, 4. Boy, we are at a good place right now with the ecosystem that's so rich, and developers have so much of choice in their
Mhm.
technology stack, in their tooling, and in the platforms they reach. So it's a good place. Yeah, and I've known the Uno platform folks for a long time. I've actually been to your offices in Montreal. Beautiful office, beautiful place,
Yeah.
great folks. So I'm happy to see all that you folks are doing. So without further ado, how about you show us what's new and happening? So if you're ready, I'm going to bring up your desktop here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
5.0.
yeah, 5.0. So a little while ago, not that long ago, we released 5.0. So we're already working on the new stuff for what's coming up next. But just as a refresher, so basically, the first thing I wanted to say is like Uno platform, right? So Uno platform, it's an open source platform for building .NET native mobile web desktop embedded apps, quickly, right? So that's the whole thing about it. And so we're taking, if you don't already know, we're taking those WinUI APIs for how you would build an application for WinUI, and we're taking those APIs and stretching it across all the other platforms that any platform basically that you want to target, and it targets native as much as possible. And then we have like Skia backends for Linux and all those fun things. But yeah, so we have a lot of cool stuff that came out with Uno 5.0. And just a lot of cool stuff in general. So not all of this is going to be Uno 5.0 stuff, but I just wanted to highlight like what's new coming out or
So
what has come out.
yeah, so Steve, before you get into that, let's. I'm not trying to boil the ocean, but just to get our concepts right.
Yeah.
So for a long time, in the .NET space, we have had a markup language called XAML, which is
Mhm.
extensible application markup language. That's how we build visual trees. Started with WPF, and then we have had many iterations of different versions, slightly different dialects of XAML. We had Silverlight. I said the S word.
Right.
We had UWP. We have WinUI. We had Xamarin Forms, which is a different dialect. Now we have .NET Maui, we have Uno Platform, we have Avalonia. So all of these different platforms are essentially choices for you to go build cross-platform apps. So you are saying Uno Platform essentially kind of started from the WinUI style of XAML.
Yeah. So, well, originally like UWP, and
Yeah,
rest in peace. But like WinUI basically is the new API, but it's basically the evolution of the UWP API for building applications. So,
right.
like you mentioned, like we had like Silverlight, we had like there's WPF, there's Xamarin Forms and .NET Maui as well, and so those are all different sort of iteration. Like they're using XAML, but they each have their own API for like
Right.
on .NET you have label, on WinUI you have text block instead, and things like that. So instead of reinventing the wheel and building our own API for our UI, we're just going to take one that is well documented, is mature, is like fully featured, and we're just going to take that and stretch it across all these platforms, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, like I said, right? So
yeah, and as developers, like it's XAML. Like you learn one, you can move around.
yeah,
It's not difficult to figure out the little differences in namespaces
right.
and what you call things. And this is a good thing about the XAML and the C# ecosystem. We have always had good tools. So
Mm,
maybe older people like us love XAML. The newer generation maybe is a little bit more hesitant in some. It gets a little verbose, but then you got
yeah,
such great tools. You don't have to write everything by hand if you don't want to. But I mean, so does HTML. So does any type of XML if you're doing straight up Android. If you have to define visual states, if you have to define all types of content and interactions through XAML, then yeah, it will get to be a little bit. But you got tools to help out.
yeah. XAML has a special place in my heart. That'll always be my number one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I see C# markup right out there out of the
Yes.
box.
Yeah. So basically, so I'll go down to the C# markup stuff. I'll zoom in actually. Sorry. Um, but yeah, so basically, if you, I'll go into the picture here. But basically, if you want now with Uno applications, doesn't matter whether you want to do it with XAML or you want to do it with C#. They both exist and they're both there, and they both have first and third party component support. And the really cool thing about C# markup is what it's called, basically, is building your UI using C# instead of XAML, is that it's directly mapping the underlying object model, right? So like there's no extra stuff going on here, there's no new APIs, there's nothing going on. It's the same exact thing that you would have within XAML. So the same properties, the same setters, the same names, and all that fun stuff. And the really cool thing are the C# source generators that were built for this, right? So basically it finds any assembly that has any object model for UI for any of that, and it auto generates the C# needed to be able to use that within C# markup, right? So third party vendors or anyone else like that have controls for UIs and their own stuff don't need to do anything, right? It just, as long as the assembly exists here, the C# markup generators will pick that up, generate the APIs for you to use in C# rather than XAML, and you're off to the races, and you're building as you would, So
Yeah.
it's really great, and it's inspired by the work of, I'm gonna mess up his name so hard, but Vincent Hugendorn, right? So who did the C# for markup? He's like the pioneer for this, so it's inspired by his work. So we owe a lot of gratitude to him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is nice. I mean, essentially, you choose what you want to write your visual tree in. You're defining the same exact, UI structure, just C#
Yeah.
versus XAML. Like, I mean, Steve and me will always pick XAML, but also like the C# thing. I mean, it's more fluent. So if you come like from a React background,
Oh yeah.
or maybe if you have done, other things like, maybe even like a little bit of Flutter or Blazor, like you might be more comfortable to this type of a layout because you're defining just a big visual tree. And I'm guessing like when you have things like new stack panel and you have those properties like horizontal alignment, vertical alignment, those are things you get IntelliSense for when you start typing in C
So
sharp.
everything's there,
Yeah.
everything exists. You get IntelliSense for all these things. Cool stuff like attached properties and things like that are automatically created as extension methods, and they have name properties, so you can build out the method calls. And one really nice thing is this right here. You have strongly typed data binding, right, available for you. So you get IntelliSense from your data context as well, just like you would sort of like with XBind, where you define the data type, So here you define your data type. You define your data context, and you have your Visual Studio. You have your view model right there next to you, and you have that IntelliSense when you do VM dot, and you have like the properties that you can bind to and all those nice things. So
nice. In the chat room, our good friend Thindel is here. Hi, Thindel. Good to see you. Good to see you. Another fellow streamer out of Sweden.
Nice.
So C# markup, and I'm guessing this works consistently if you do like Visual Studio on Windows. And can you also do VS Code for the C# markup?
Yeah. So everything's supported out of the box for whatever you want to, whatever IDE you want to use. So VS Code on any platform, as well as Visual Studio. So everything's ready for you out of the box. And with the platform plugin for Visual Studio Code, we have that nice IntelliSense and that for XAML and C# and all that nice stuff, as well as on top of with XAML, it also supports within Visual Studio and within Visual Studio Code hot reload, right, for C# markup or for XAML markup. So both are supported, which is really, really great. And the hot reload stuff that we have with Uno 5.0 is awesome. Yeah.
Now that is tied to your Uno platform VS Code extension. Is that right? Like the hot reload part?
The hot reload, yes. So it hooks on to with the nice hot reload stuff that we have in .NET or whatever. But like with the plugin, with the Uno platform plugin, it provides all that nice hot reload, and you don't have to have. It depends on you have to look at our docs, because there are some matrices of what works with what, because there are some .NET issues that are giving us some limitations that you can go thumbs up. It's available for links on the doc. But yes, with the debugger or without the debugger, you'll be able to do hot reload, whether it's your C#, whether it's your C# for markup, or whether it's your XAML. It's very, very nice. It's a great productivity booster for sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right. C# markup. You have more choices on how you define your visual tree. All right.
Yeah.
What else is new?
What else is new? One of the cool things is let's talk about Figma. So
nice.
on top of let's just play this while I talk. So on top, oh God, there's sound. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So on top of the C# markup, basically, that we have available, we've already had this Design to XAML plugin in the Figma marketplace. That's someone's going to yell at me for not knowing this, but I don't know if it's been if it's still in preview, or if it's still if it's RTM yet. But basically, we have this plugin that is available that you can take your design files and you can generate the XAML for it. And now with the plugin as well, and I could show you if you want, we could take those design files and generate the C# markup as well instead. So within that plugin, you get a live preview of your app running, and you have the ability to export XAML or export C# generated from those design files. So it's very.
Yeah, in the chat room, Thindel is saying Figma is the tool I hate to love. It is very popular. Like it's not for us per se, but if you have designers on your team, they will use it day in and day out. But we get to benefit. Like Thindel is saying, like other people give you the designs, and you get to benefit from the designs, and it's up to us devs and the tech stack that we are using to bring those designs in with high fidelity. And so it sounds like with the Figma design to C# markup, you will get it as is, like however your designers have made it.
Yeah. So let me just show you quickly.
Oh, you're showing it. Nice.
So let's say we have our little Figma file here. This is available as a, I'll give the link in a second, but this is available as a public file. So this is the Uno Platform Material Toolkit. And this is just a done, design file. And we have a little sample app here, right? So like this is just Figma. So we're just playing around with drag and drop components, like I could just do whatever I want and move the design file around. I'm going to undo everything because I probably broke it. Sorry, example app.
While you're doing that, Findle is being funny in the chat room. Designers use multiple tools. So Adobe and other things might be less, or Figma might be less forgiving than some of
Hmm.
the other tools. It wants you to be very precise, which is
Yeah,
the point of design. And
yeah.
maybe you're working with like a design system, and then you get to start with the base, and then you customize from there.
Right. So before I show you the plugin, but basically what we're looking at in this file, that's an example. But basically, we have every single control that's available to you that Uno supports with the
Yes.
material design theme applied to it, available as pre-built components, right? So
Mm.
these buttons, the floating action buttons, something cooler, rating control, sliders, so these are all pre-built components in Figma that you can use within your app. So basically, it's a drag and drop into your design canvas, right? So these are Uno text boxes that are material design themed and all that fun stuff, right? So if I take, let's say, this login page and I run the plugin, and what's really cool about this is a web tool, right? Figma. So right now we have a plugin running within Figma itself. And since we're targeting the web here, this is actually a tool built with Uno. So this is an Uno application running within Figma for Figma. And so this tool itself is actually built with the Uno and material design. So we have all that nice stuff. And so I selected that login page here. So if I select that login page and I refresh my plugin, hopefully it's zoomed in enough. We actually have now, since we're running within a Figma, within an Uno app itself, we're actually taking that dumb design file that you saw me dragging stuff around, and we're running a real Uno WebAssembly application that is matching that design. So these are real buttons, these are real text blocks. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. And again, this is the XAML that was created based off this design file here, right? So we have.
Not only do I get C# markup, I could also get XAML out of this.
Yes. So
Okay.
you have your XAML that's here, or you have your C# markup, which you have that more fluent design or fluent definition of your UI, and it has all that fun stuff. And it has really cool things like like if I wanted to define a data context as my JSON, within here I could say, okay, generate my bindings. If I have hard strings, localize them, generate automation IDs for all my components for accessibility. So it has all these little toggles that you could play around with. And yes, so then you can have, and as well as exporting your C#, you have all these nice settings for C# generation. So if you want to generate namespaces or absolute name or strongly type your references or file scope, whatever, if you want different ways that you want to mess with your C# file, basically. Oops, sorry. So there's a lot.
No, this is very cool.
Yeah. How do I unzoom? Well, it's too late now. Reset. There you go. Yeah. So that is basically the Figma plugin. And yeah, with that, we have the industry first Figma to C# generation, which we're really, really excited about. So yeah, it's some good stuff there. So you don't have to worry too much about, is this pixel perfect? Is this, trying to match it with the design? That developer handoff is much better.
Right.
And the developers can come in, fiddle with things here and, get it to generate their bindings for them, get it to generate whatever they want. So it takes a lot of that off their plate. So it's very nice.
Yeah,
I really like
very
this.
cool. Very cool. Yeah, this is nice. All right. So Figma to generated code.
Yeah, very cool. One of the things I wanted to, let's see what else there is here. So the hot reload, we can, let's see if I have anything running right now. Hot reload is nice. Yeah, I do have something running. So basically, oh, wait, I'm going to zoom in again.
So you're in VS Code and
yeah. So
you're using the Uno platform extension.
Yeah, so this is VS Code with a new Uno application that I just did with the CLI. So I just did a .NET new Uno app. And I'm using the VS Code plugin for Uno platform here. So this very nice, so we have XAML hot reload for mobile targets because of that .NET issue right now. We don't have C# hot reload for mobile targets, but it's available on the docs for you to go check out that issue and hook on. So, and I'm not even, we'll see if this works because I launched this a while ago, but I'm not on the using the debugger. This app isn't like currently being debugged on the right here. This is just an Android application that's running that I launched previously. So if I change the background to red, we'll have this red here. If I add a button, we'll have a nice button. Content is equal to. Copilot is not helping me out here. I'll have this nice button that we can use and click around. So, and again, this is without the debugger attached. This is I just had launched this and had it running for, I don't know, the last 20 minutes or whatever. And anything I save here in this file is good to go, as well as like playing around with the C# as well. So all that is nice and good to go. That's the only and it plays nice with other platforms as well. So especially with like WebAssembly and Skia GTK. So like those things are real good. And even with the XAML with the C# markup hot reload and C# hot reload, it's real great. Yeah, it's very easy to play around with, and especially with mobile on XAML on VS Code. That's the way I do a lot of like prototyping and stuff, and I don't have to have the debugger attached, so it's real nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean this kind of gets to the the bigger conversation about tools. Like if you're on Windows, by all means, go use Visual Studio. It's it's a giant. It'll do everything for you. It's an IDE. But if you would rather be cross-platform be on a Mac or be on Linux if you want, then VS Code is really good because it's lightweight, and the extensions ecosystem is so rich, and you can be equally productive with some of the extensions. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is how I do basically most of my blogging and stuff like that. When I'm doing my demos or doing that, I'm on my Mac on my VS Code, launching to the iOS simulator, doing this hot reload stuff, and just taking videos and GIFs and screenshots and stuff like that. So it's the easiest for me. So like that's where I would go to do most stuff. So if I zoom out for a second, like basically with the Uno platform plugin, I have the availability to say, what I want to launch here. So I have, and then right near, I have my project selector. So .NET Android, and I can choose iOS, Mac Catalyst, or, and then the nice thing is with VS Code, Nick Randolph has a great blog about it, but you can use VS Code as a tunnel, as an SSH tunnel to your Mac, basically, and it connects to your VS Code server on your Mac. And so from Windows, you can actually launch your iOS application. It'll launch on the Mac itself, but from Windows, you can still develop, and using the SSH tunnel, it'll remote connect to the VS Code server on your Mac and launch the simulator there. So it's a cool little, like, not a hack. It's not a hack, but like a cool little thing you can use for even if you want to develop for iOS on your Windows machine.
No, I mean, I think it's still maintained. Back in our Xamarin days, Microsoft had a thing called the iOS, Windows Simulator, which was the exact same thing. Like it'll stream exactly what the iOS simulator is showing on Windows, except it's or on Mac, except it's on Windows. So I mean, if you wanted to touch and zoom, pinch and zoom, or you could on your Windows machine if it had touch.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, does this extension kind of work with the C# dev kit, or does it have that intelligence built in?
So this is all. So the IntelliSense has our own like language server and everything, but we're right now. I believe it's on top of OmniSharp. So you do need to. So right now I have two profiles. So like, okay, I can't zoom in. So right now I have two profiles. So one is my Uno profile and one is my Maui profile. So Uno basically has the Uno extension, and it disables C# dev kit, because right now if you look at our docs, they don't play well nice together. And then Maui just has a C# dev kit with their plugin.
Yeah.
And so that's how I sort of switch back between both. You could just have different extensions running on different profiles. There is work right now with the Uno plugin to do more with, I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it. Anyway, there is more work to come with the Uno plugin for VS Code to, play nice with everything in the ecosystem, and everything's going to be nice. And
now this, by the way, folks, is a very, very handy tip. You can have profiles with each VS Code profile running different extensions, so they don't clash. So that's a very good point.
Yeah. And you can even have custom icons. Oh God, there you go. Custom icons for your profile. So my little heart is Uno, and if I switch to Maui, it's a little phone. There you go.
Nice.
And it's dark mode apparently. I don't know. There you go.
Yeah, Findle is loving your heart sign, so you can switch profiles. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, VS Code it's nice. It's just such a
Oh
good
yeah, I love it.
ecosystem, and
Yeah.
things are just catching up to So on the .NET side of things, like pure .NET and .NET Maui, like the IntelliSense and the hot reload experience is still not at par with Visual Studio because they're working on things.
Mm.
But looks like the Uno platform has you pretty much covered. If you were doing Uno with the extension, you have it all.
Yeah. Yeah, the extension is very nice, especially with all the IntelliSense. Plus, I got Copilot here, so sometimes I'll just start typing and it just gives me Uno specific XAML that just does everything for me. So it's like, oh, perfect, So yeah, it's very nice.
Chatroom is wondering if you could set the profile image to something custom like cats.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah, why
could. I
not?
don't even
Yeah,
know
you probably
actually.
could. Yeah.
I forget. I totally forget how I even changed the icon, but it's somewhere there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything in VS Code is just JSON, right? So it's reading some configuration file. So yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
I'm sure there's something you can do, but it comes with these icon pickers here that you can do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're asking all the important questions.
Yeah.
No, this is good. This is good. Like this is our everyday life as a mobile or a cross-platform developer. You have to get your tooling, in line. Otherwise, things fall off.
Mm.
You have to keep updating things. So it's complicated. Like cross-platform development is never simple. You just have to
Oh yeah.
understand there are lots of moving pieces in here, and people come with their own tooling. People have their own choice of how they define their visual tree, how they write their C#. So pick your tools, pick what works best for you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely living on the bleeding edge here, and it's great fun. Just like whatever. We're always on the latest previews. We're always on the latest. I'm sure Jerome, our CTO, is already dealing with .NET 9 previews and stuff like that. So we're always having fun on our side at the cross-platform work. So it's great times to be a .NET developer for sure. Yeah.
And then here you are in full-on Visual Studio.
Yeah, Visual Studio. So the last thing, or not the last thing, the other thing that I want to talk about that wasn't actually from 5.0, is from an earlier release, 4.10, I believe, is Maui Embedding. So we actually have the ability to, for platforms that Maui targets, obviously, for
iOS,
iOS,
Android,
Android,
Windows, and
Mac
Mac.
OS, Windows. Yeah. So we have the ability to now, if you have any Maui controls, whether that's stuff directly from Maui, or you have some really great vendors that have some really great, Maui controls that are amazing. You can have those running within your Uno application, right? Within a Maui host, right? So if I'm not going to launch this because it's going to take too long to build again.
I
But
see a little something called Telerik in there.
Yeah, there's this nice app. There's this nice vendor called, Telerik, that has all these amazing controls. So this is an Uno application running on Windows.
That's an accordion.
Sorry, on Windows,
on Android. Yeah.
And this is the accordion view. We have really amazing things like the data grid, and it's like fast as all hell. And it works perfectly. And my favorite thing is the PDF viewer. I don't know why. It's just super cool, I find. So I'm zoomed in.
It's funny. Like some of the things we do, like you don't think about those as the most shiny things, but those are the ones that enterprise workflows need.
Yeah.
So PDF support, document, processing support, reporting support. So that's kind of what your enterprise customers need.
Yeah. And so if we're looking, what's really cool I find about this little sample app that we have, that's available if you go to the Uno samples, it's in our repository. We have a whole bunch of Maui embedding samples. So what we're looking at here is is like in this area is that Maui, that PDF viewer, right? But here we actually have an Uno navigation view, right? So we're actually looking at an Uno grid, a navigation view with all the menu items for, accordion for all the samples. And then down here, we actually have the Maui host, which is our Uno control, basically, that allows for the data context binding. So like the data context of the Maui host will be your binding context for any Maui controls that you live in there. And then we have, these Maui controls like the accordion living within this Uno Maui host. So if we go to the accordion sample, right, this is, this is a content view. So this is a Maui
It's a
control.
Maui thing. Yeah.
And then we have the accordions and the accordion items from Telerik, all available to you just as you normally would use them. So it's a really nice productivity boost to have basically hundreds of more controls and UI components out of the box that you can host. So
yeah, all of
really
.NET Maui's ecosystem. So the Maui host, that's a composite control for you folks. Is that right? Am I saying it right? Okay.
So it is a content control, or hold on, content presenter. Where is it? Maui control. It is itself. Let's just look into it.
I mean, is there a NuGet package that you need to bring? Oh, it's a content control.
Yeah.
Is it inbuilt, or you have to bring it in?
You have to bring it in. So what I was going to show was basically, so if you look, so basically you have your normal Telerik your normal Uno app code library where everything lives, all your app code, all your UI code, and all that stuff. And you'll have this secondary assembly for Maui controls, right? And so if we look at Maui controls, it contains, where is it? Where's my extension? Maui. There it is. It's built into our Uno extensions. So it's the Maui Uno extensions, right? And so to get up and running as quickly as possible, I would suggest just using the wizard, right? So if we had a new project, we have this part of the Uno platform extension for Visual Studio comes with this very nice Uno platform application wizard that gets you up and running for whatever you want. So if I were to create, let's go back for a second. I skipped over that. If I were to choose a project template for an Uno application, so an Uno platform app, and just create.
You got a wizard that steps through.
Yeah, we have a nice little wizard. If Visual Studio complies with me, there you go.
It's Thursday for Visual Studio.
Yeah, and so we have. Oh, I'm on the old plugin because this should be done at 8. But anyway, we have this nice wizard that comes pre-built. With all the things that you can choose, whether you want to do MVVM or MVUX, which we could talk about in a bit, whether you want your XAML or C# as your markup, whether you want to use Fluent or Material, and then within features, we have .NET Maui Embedding. Right?
So it's a checkbox. Yeah. So check that and you'll have it.
Maui Embedding, and you're off to the races, right? So while that creates it, I already have it running here. So this was an app that I did the exact same thing. All I did was do a blank app in the wizard and choose .NET Maui, and we have our app code and our Maui controls, just like usual. And if we look at our main page, what we actually have here is a normal Maui text. A normal Uno text block, and then we have our Maui host that's going to host our embedded control. That's just a sample control, which we'll show you in a second. But what's really cool here is you'll notice, since Uno platforms target some other platforms, that we don't all intersect with all of them. So we have WebAssembly, we have Linux, we have all that stuff. You can use platform conditionals for your XAML to say, okay, so everything within here I want to run for platforms that run Maui. So everything that for any platform that doesn't have Maui support, just have this UI instead, right?
So where is this defined, like the Maui versus not Maui?
That's all like defined. Well, you define it as a namespace here, but these namespaces are known, and you just have an ignorable here for not Maui. But these namespaces are known within the Uno itself to automatically know. Like when you're building and all that stuff, it automatically includes or excludes certain namespaces. Yeah. So we have a whole set. If you go to the documentation for XAML platform conditionals, you have a whole set of namespaces that you can use and what you should add them and whether they should be in the ignorable or what value they should have. We have a whole set of them. So if not mobile or not Android or just Android or only Windows or blah, blah, blah. So you can play around with those as much as you can. And so if we looked at this Uno Maui Love app, what we're looking at is...
Yeah, so this is all that UI. That's painted with Maui host and Maui UI running on top of it.
Yeah, so this is Maui control. These are Maui controls, and this is an Uno text block right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and these are, workable buttons. Everything's working with with the bindings and everything that we have. So
Yeah.
if we look quickly at that, the embedded
And
control
so
just has that button there.
the Maui host, like I think I saw in one of your code samples, where you are sending the binding context down. So I'm guessing it just it trickles all the way down into the
Mhm.
Maui host to whatever you give it.
Yeah. So the Maui host, where is it? Yeah. So the Maui host basically here gets its data context, which would
Hmm.
be basically, oh, sorry. Where's the code behind? There we go. Wait, where is it? I lost myself. Does this one have a data context? Am I looking at the right thing? Counter. Let's look at counter.
Well, I mean that's a command, so that's probably is wired up from the view model.
What? Am I lost? Where's the counter command? It's somewhere. Anyway, but yes, basically the Maui host takes it was an Uno control, takes the data context, right, from wherever your data context is.
Yeah.
And then your binding, I believe it's called binding context in Maui, or yes.
Yeah.
So it automatically sets right here. It automatically sets, so this content view and everything below it would inherit the binding context as the data context of the Maui host, basically. So it would take it in and it would
Yeah.
trickle down like that. So that's how you deal with all your bindings and all that fun stuff.
Now, can you go back to the code where you had a whole bunch of the Telerik UI rendering? Maybe it was a different project.
Oops. Where is it? Oh God, did I close it? Okay, one sec. Telerik app.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So we have like the accordion samples, say. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're rendering some of this, I think like this is where the Maui host is the code that I saw where it was passing down a data context that you could bind to in this page.
Maui hosts here. There we go. Right. So the Maui hosts here are going to be taking this
Right.
samples basically, and they're going to take each one of these. Right. So these content views. And if we go to main view model, this is basically just our view models for all these things. So this is using the community toolkit. I'm trying to look for.
No, I get it. I mean, it has to be something that's passed down because then all of the Maui things can bind to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Calendar. There we go. So it does a little bit of magic here because we're using the Uno extensions for navigation and all this thing. So it's mapping this Maui host to this data context for this mapping of this view for this Maui host control itself, right? So this is where the binding comes from. And we have this nice view model that basically will be the data context of the Maui host and then go down to the rad calendar or anything like that, Yeah.
Oh, very cool. No, this is nice because at the end of the day, it's all native apps, it's all C#, it's all .NET, but you are kind of mixing and matching the ecosystems. So if somebody wants to really render, like let's just say all of the Telerik UI that you showed off, everything that we have for .NET Maui just now works on Uno platform. Right. So, pick your stack, pick what you want to do, and just mix and match.
Yeah, and that's the great thing is because Uno platform apps are purely native .NET apps. Maui controls, Maui apps are purely native, right? So your resulting app is a pure native app that is it's native everything all together, right? So it's it's perfect. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. What else? So this was Maui Embedding. I think this was just a little bit prior to 5.0, right? But
yeah,
I think
this was
just a little bit.
Yeah, this was with 4.10. So Maui Embedding came in. Let's see what else we could talk about. So the other thing that we let's go back to the blog. Oh boy. There we go.
Thindel here in the chat room is saying, yeah, Maui is nice. Yeah, you should use it more, but also look around. Maui also gets sometimes the community is like, there are still issues. Absolutely. I mean, name a platform that doesn't have issues. So you pick what works for you.
Yeah. It's always fun to follow the the .NET new meme Twitter
The
thing.
number of days,
Like,
number of days without drama.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's
Oh
always
my
drama.
goodness. Yeah. One of the cool things that we had already released, but we have a whole bunch of new stuff with, is MVUX. So I'm going to do a terrible job about talking about this because it is complex. But
we should maybe, you can give us an overview. Maybe we could
I'll
get
give you a quick overview.
Andreas or somebody else to talk through this, because this whole MVU pattern is kind of appealing to folks who come from those fluent React or Flutter or Blazor style. And they're much more comfortable with that, long loop running continuously.
And it works well with with our fluent C# markup, where you have that whole Flutter vibe and all that stuff. But basically, yes, it is. I'm not gonna explain it all, but it's basically our implementation of the MVU pattern. If you don't know the MVU pattern, definitely go check it out. And I would say go check out the documentation on our website for MVUX. There's a whole lot of technical information, diagrams, all that fun stuff. But basically, you get the MVU pattern and you get all the benefits of being reactive, immutable, declarative, and asynchronous. And you have asynchronous state management, all while being like fully testable, but at the same time, all while being hot reload friendly, right? So you can play around with your models, your reactive models, play around with all your asynchronous stuff, and you don't have to reload the app or anything. It does it all for you, right? So, yeah.
So, before you get into this, or maybe like you said, like this is a whole other
it's a whole can of worms
of how you build that. Maybe I can show you my screen and you can walk me through a little bit, because I had done Uno a while back, and then come .NET 8, like I don't have all of the bits, but I was in anticipation of having you on today. I was just playing around with it yesterday. I think I see some changes, so maybe you can help me walk through. So give me a second here. And sorry, folks, my lighting is way off because this is a big window with a lot of sunlight coming through. I normally have a curtain, but that is being messed up because like the curtain hooks are messed up, so my lighting is off. But let me see if I can show my screen, move some things around. So I don't know if you use this, Steve, but my second monitor, like I have a big, ultra wide curved thing, but that takes a lot of GPU to run. So my to-go second monitor is actually an iPad that uses like Apple sidecar thing.
Sidecar,
yeah. It's nice. It's performant and it doesn't push a lot of pixels. Okay, so hold on. If I can bring down your desktop for a second. And see if I can move some windows around and share my screen. So let's show you what I was playing around with. So folks, if you want to get started, like the best place is, let's pull up a window here. All right, so if I do Uno platform, not that, because that's the whole thing. That's the Maui specific thing. No, I'm still going to that. Actually, we can start from here. This was Dan Siegel writing up the Maui embedding. But let's go to Uno platform here. So like Steve has mentioned many times, oh, there was a raid. Hey, sorry, I'm looking at different screens. Hey, folks. Beta out of order, internet with TypeScript linter. Okay, hey, thank you for the raid and welcome to Code It Live. This is the .NET Dev Show where we talk about most things .NET, and today I have my good friend Steve talking about all things Uno platform. Everything is open source. Everything is cross-platform. Go build your .NET apps however you want. Here's the good place to start, and then I can start with the docs. They're going to step you through nicely as to how you get started with Uno platform. And the docs are, by the way, Steve, really nice. So I'm sure it takes a lot of work to keep them up. But they talk through the setup. Like if you are on Visual Studio on Windows, by all means, go get the workloads, get the extension. You're up and running. That's the Uno platform extension. If you are on VS Code or Writer, it kind of starts out with .NET, CLI, but then once you're in the extension, it's the same game as well. So I really like this Uno check tool. So this kind of does a little bit of a check on your setup to make sure like you have all of the right dependencies for iOS and Android and so on. And then once you are up and running, that's the C# DevKit compatibility that you were talking about. So right now, because I think it comes down to what language pack you are using. Like you are using OmniSharp, while I think C# DevKit has kind of moved over to using their own thing. So that maybe is the thing. It looks like you can actually disable that OmniSharp thing, and maybe then it plays better together. And then creating an app, that's super simple too. So on my VS Code, I can just do .NET new Uno platform, and I'm up and running. So let me show you what I have going on here. So I am running latest .NET right there. It's 8, right? And then if I do a .NET new of all of my templates, then somewhere down here is there's Uno platform app. Where's my mouse pointer? Hold on, there it is. So that's Uno platform app. So that's what you're invoking. It's going to be the exact same thing if you did like a file new project in Visual Studio, and you get up and running with the Uno app. I think I saw a few more templates in here. Is there like a Uno platform?
There should
like
be
a library.
Yeah, there should be some libraries that you can create. I don't know where they are. I saw that Uno platform Maui.
Yeah, there's the Maui Embedding class. Yeah. Maybe I don't have everything installed, but that can be a Maui library or on a platform app. So I did do a Hello World app. So let me take you there, and maybe I can ask you some questions while you're here to explain a few more things about what are all of the things in a Uno project. So let's see. It was called Uno Hello. And I have VS Code, so I can do code dot, and out comes the Uno platform thing. Let's see. We don't need all of that stuff now. Hold on, let me. There it is. Okay. So I can close down some of these things. And so I get a Hello World Uno app, right? So walk me through what are some of the things in here. This one here, maybe the Solution Explorer. It has multiple solutions, so it's going to get confused here. So maybe let's start with the Code Explorer. So what is Uno Hello? What's the base? And then what's in mobile? What's in their server, Skia, and then the tests and the WASM and the Windows? What are all these projects?
Yeah, so this would be basically the non-blank version, so the recommended. So it comes pre-built with everything that you want to get up and running with navigation, with your view models and all that fun stuff. So basically Uno Hello, the basic Uno Hello with no suffix there, that is your shared app code library, basically. So that's your entry point, or that is your main source where all your shared code is going to be. So all your UI code, all your presentation logic, all your business code, everything. So everything that each one of your project heads for iOS, for Android, for Mac, for WebAssembly, anything, those will all reference this Uno Hello, and that's where all your main code will live. Not only your code, like for your UI and stuff, but also your assets. So things like your images or your strings or anything styles, like that. Yeah. Okay. So that all.
So if you did like localization, that's going to be right in here.
So if you have localization, if you have your assets folder, so if you have PNGs or whatever, say, you don't have to worry about putting them in the like XXHDPI or MDPI or your at 2x, 3x, 4x or whatever for iOS, your image bundles and stuff like that. That's all done for you by the build process. So it just takes these and puts them into the proper ones. So it's all everything that should be shared across everything that you want to have across all your platforms goes into that project. Base is sort of like I don't know if it should be hidden or not, but basically that's what does your cross-platform stuff for maybe your splash screens or your app icons, right? So if you were to look in Splash, or if you were to look in icons, you might see some SVGs there.
So yeah, but why not put it in the Uno Hello?
I don't remember.
Okay, no, that's fine.
But it exists as its own project. So basically, that is also where your app head lives. So your main app head.xaml, right?
So this is the entry point.
Yeah, so
for the
this is your
first.
main entry point, right?
Okay.
So each app head itself, like mobile and Ski and everything, has their app resources that you can use. But basically, here's your entry point for your main base, and then basically this really exists as your project that uses Resizetizer to or Uno's Resizetizer to take those icons, take those splash screens, and generate those assets for you for all your projects. Yeah.
Yeah, you said the R word. This is magical piece of tech here, folks.
Yeah.
Maui
Yeah.
has it, Uno has it, so it's annoying. The platform differences in splash screens and icons between iOS and Android. Like back in the Xamarin days, we used to have a different project for each one, and then same files, same icons in different styles and sizes. Now the Resizetizer just does it all. Give it an SVG and it'll do it all for you. All right, and then I see the mobile projects. This is where you get into iOS, Android, Mac Catalyst, and I'm guessing this references the Uno Hello projects, right? So
yes,
if I look at the Mac one, this one doesn't have dependencies of its own.
No, so everything is in that single CS proj there.
Oh, I see.
That uno.mobile.cs proj. And so those are just your app head entry points if you needed to do any platform specific stuff. Server and data contracts sort of come together. So that's really if you want to have a server side component to your application. So if you're building, like an ASP.NET server sort of project that goes alongside for your application for an API that you're building or whatever. So I don't really touch that one very much. And data contracts is basically the DTO project or assembly that your server and your mobile, your server and your client both share. And then you have your UI testings, your runtime tests. Oh, sorry, I didn't see Skia.
Yeah, Skia.
And then so then you have Skia and WebAssembly.
Who does testing?
Right. So you have Skia, WebAssembly, and Windows, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
So then Skia basically is using GTK, so whether it runs on Windows or it runs on Linux, and as its shell, and then it uses Skia to render the UI rather than having a native rendering going on there.
So why does Skia have its own head? Because you might be using Skia for Windows or Mac, but can you just use Skia by itself for something?
Well, this is so we have Skia for
the head GTK. I see. Okay,
so it's using the GTK shell.
Skia. Okay.
And if you were to use within the options for the CLI or within the wizard, you could also use Skia as a backend for things like if you want to target WPF or Linux frame buffer or things like that. And then Skia as a backend as itself, isn't there for mobile or Windows or anything like that. It's used for rendering for ones that don't have native widgets to render or native rendering on its own for its views.
Got it. Yeah. So is it one one solution file for the whole thing, or there are multiple?
I believe there's one now, unless there's some solution folders.
Oh, so Hello Mobile has a solution, and then Hello Uno has a solution. So let's do that. Okay, so this might be a better view of the whole thing. So solution items are some of the build things, and source gets so platforms. Now you get Hello, and now you get tests. But then if we switch up which one to open, hold on, can I do that? Can I open up a different solution?
Honestly, I've never seen the mobile solution before. I didn't know that was a thing.
No, there is a mobile solution. So I think in the there is a solution right there.
This is new.
It's not going to read VS Code and won't read it. But okay, so if we back up a step, so if I am to open up this Uno platform solution, if I want to run this on iOS or Android, I clearly go with the mobile one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mac Catalyst, also the mobile one, because I see those heads right in here.
Yeah.
If I'm using Windows, should I be launching it the Windows one?
Yeah. So each individual platform, so WebAssembly, Windows, Skia, they each have their own CS proj that you would use
Okay.
as its startup project, right?
Yeah. And then
Um,
Wasm is for all things. Yeah. Okay, so let's try this a little bit. I have, because I'm an old man, I cannot remember my things. So I have a cheat sheet for all of the commands that I commonly use that I cannot remember. I don't need to download that right now. So let's grab a .NET run command, because we have to kind of specify where you're going, because like there are so many different platforms you can target. So let's go to Mac Catalyst for a change. So if we could open up terminal here. So shouldn't matter where we're going. So .NET build run of, no, hold on. I think it's .NET 7 by default. This may be an older one that I used. So let me check. Uno CS proj is, okay, so that is .NET 7 Mac Catalyst. That's fine. So we can change that up. 7 Mac Catalyst. Okay. Oh, it's not liking targeting Windows on. Yeah, I'm not trying to build Windows. I'm just trying to build that. Okay.
oh, it might be
So,
finding. Yeah,
yeah.
you might have to go to the CS proj.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just going to open up the mobile project. Uno hello and Uno mobile. Let's just say I don't care about the other ones. I just want to do this. And here, I think the solution is going to be picking up better. Yeah, right there. So this, by the way, is new-ish, folks. Solution Explorer. This is kind of giving it the same, excuse me, like the Visual Studio style. So you don't see all of the external or the extra files like solution files that don't really make sense for Visual Studio Code. So this one's showing all the things for iOS and Android. So let's try that same thing here. And let's do a build for .NET 7. Now, things will get much easier if you had the Uno platform extension. I don't yet, because I'm just trying to restart things back up. So you can see it's optimizing assemblies and trying to do a build here. Okay, and it's done. Oh, there is my Uno Hello Mobile. Not sure why it didn't come in the forefront. Maybe it's trying. Oh, there it is. Does this look familiar? Like this is the Hello World experience? Like it's your name? Okay.
So you should be able to type your name, go to next, and it should say your name as the, there you go. So it's just showing some bindings and some navigation view or navigation bar and stuff like that. So there's some toolkit controls in there. There's some Uno extensions in there. So yeah, it comes with everything sort of prepackaged.
And then I can just switch this up to iOS, right? Maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it picks up the bundle name, app ID, and it's going to go to the default, iOS simulator, which, you can change up which simulator you run this on. But for me, it just starts out with the iPad.
Yeah, me too. With the plugin, you get that nice, like you project selector, and then you get that nice simulator selector. So it's real nice.
Right. Yep, exactly. Okay. Yeah, and hopefully, as things progress on the Maui front, like the Maui simulator and the Uno, extensions, they can all play well together. So you don't have to have, different profiles. So that's the same app.
There's lots of nice stuff going on there. So
Just thinking. There it is.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Same app. And you can say Steve here, go to second page, and the navigation works. So these pages, they are not in the Uno Hello Mobile project, right? Because they're really shared.
So so this would be in your Uno Hello, and it should be within a presentation folder, I believe. And there's a main page and a second page. I think they're called.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So that's a good place to start. And then extension-wise, if I look for Uno platform, that's the one to get. Oh, and by the way, did you know this? I did not know this thing existed. I've been living under a rock, but there is this thing called, hold on, let me go back to what I have. Material icon theme. Do you know about this?
No.
This thing is so nice because Visual Studio Code, for all of the nice things that it does, like if you open up a solution, like all of the files look like blah because it doesn't understand some of the files. This will give you an icon for everything like C# and JSON and XAML and Angular. So it just kind of makes it look like Visual Studio. It's just an icon pack, and it has different like themes that you can do, and you can set your own icon theme. So this is really nice, really nice.
Nice.
So yeah, and you can change which icon theme you want. So yeah, it's nice. So anyways, so get that Uno platform extension, then things become much nicer for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think so. Let me close this for a second. I think I was trying to do this in Visual Studio. Like VS for Mac is retiring next year, so I'm not sure how much of the love that it's getting anymore. But I mean, they're still maintaining it. So here's the same solution that we just looked at, but now you can see the whole thing. So this is your Uno Hello, which is the shared thing. So probably presentation, and that's your main model. That's the main page we looked at. So that probably is the grid, the stack. There's the text box, and there's the button. When you go to second, that is probably coming from a view model somewhere. Main model.
Yeah, main model. Yeah. Yeah, so this is using our MVUX. Okay. Yeah.
I see.
So,
okay.
Nice thing about this is you don't have to do with MVUX. You don't have to do any commands. So you can see that there's no I command here. You're actually binding to this go to second method, which in the magic of all the bindable stuff that happens, there an I command is created that you can bind to, but you don't have to deal with generating an I command implementation or anything like that. So that's one of the nice things about MVUX. Yeah.
Nice. So it carries this, name string over to the second one. And this one has a binding somewhere, text. There's the binding of entity name, and that's how it shows you on the second page. Yeah, so that's all in the shared code. Now, for some reason, like Visual Studio for Mac got a little confused. Like it's saying, hey, I can't run Windows on a Mac, which I understand. But like the mobile one, do I need to choose which platform it runs on? It should not, right? Because like the CS Proj already has it. So it kind of knows that, hey, I can run on iPhones and iPads or Androids.
Yeah.
But let me see if this will work, because I was trying this yesterday. I think VS for Mac, this is on VS for Mac. It got a little confused. Like it does the build down here, but then it says, hey, I cannot actually run this.
Oh, interesting.
Now, this could very well be... I don't know if it's complaining about... No, it's trying to run the Mac head, but I don't know if I have something else going wrong. Let's quit that. Yeah, see, it just says execution failed and doesn't say anything else. So there are no errors. Like it builds just fine. It's just for some reason Visual Studio cannot execute. But I can do this on command line. I can do this from Visual Studio.
Yeah, so it does work. Okay, maybe we gotta check that out. But it's a VS Mac thing.
Yeah. Oh, can I run this on Wasm?
You should be able to. Yeah.
Let's see. Can I change that as a startup project? So this is one thing IDE is still do well. Like the switching up of the startup projects is definitely smoother. Okay, so this is on Google Chrome. That's fine. Go ahead and run this. It's building. It's trying. Build successful. Is it going to come up on Chrome? Not yet. It's thinking. Wait, I said run. I didn't just say build. It did the build and stopped.
Oh. Should run. I don't know.
All right, let's run this in debug mode. There it is. It's thinking really hard. Anyways, but I mean, we should get the same app experience now.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing. Yeah.
Because we're on the Wasm head. Okay. I actually I don't know about you. Like, if I'm on my Windows box, Visual Studio as an IDE, like that's our comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I am, 90% of the time I'm on my Mac desktop. So I've actually stopped using Visual Studio. And then this might be a hard thing to say because, like, I remember the whole history of this IDE. Like this started from the early Mono days. Like there was a thing called Mono Develop. Yeah. Then there was Xamarin Studio, and then this became
Xamarin Studio.
This became Visual Studio for Mac. And here's the reality. So I have, for folks who are a little bit sad or upset, I get it because I have seen this evolve. But engineering is not inexpensive for anybody, right? right? So you have to look at the numbers and you have to put your efforts where the numbers are. So Visual Studio for Mac gets a tiny sliver of the usage compared to Visual Studio on Windows. And it makes sense to combine all of your efforts into Visual Studio Code, because that's the one that gets all of the innovations with AI and C# Dev Kit. So it makes sense to just go on Visual Studio Code. So like I am increasingly finding myself not using Visual Studio at all. I mean, this thing is going to live until I think next May or sometime in fall of 2024, and then it's not just going to like fall off the face of the earth. You can still run it; it's just not going to get any updates. But I have kind of stopped using it because VS Code is good enough. Some things especially on the .NET side of things, like you were saying, like it could get better. Some of the XAML IntelliSense, some of the hot reload can get better, but then you have things like Uno Platform. Those extensions will do it all for you.
Yeah, I find the extension like ecosystem is really great, and there's people doing some crazy things with VS Code. So there's a lot more it can do, but it's also very powerful as it is. I really love it too. But like mostly I'm on my Windows machine, but if I'm traveling around or I need something lightweight, I'm on my MacBook Air and I'm on VS Code.
Yeah, it's so nice being lightweight. So yeah, anyways, folks, head out here to Uno platform.uno, and get started. There is no barrier to entry. And the folks like Steve and the team, they put out a lot of heart and soul into every release. So good things going on, and it's a rich ecosystem. If you love your Telerik tools, bring them all in. It's all good. All right, so I'm going to stop here. And we are already past our time, which is fine. Let's bring my window back here. What's chat room up to? You're talking about VS Code. VS Code is good. It really is. I still prefer full VS. And I get that, Thindle, but maybe it's just the tooling that needs to catch up. So you are able to do all the things in VS Code that you were able to in VS, then we won't miss it as much. Yeah, there are a lot of good extensions that are coming up, and the whole GitHub Copilot type thing. I don't know if you use that, Steve. That's a whole other thing to get into. I have some reservations, but that just could be me. But I mean, you can see the promise. But the moment you go talk to enterprises, you can see some of the concerns. Like they want it to be completely isolated, like no learning from GitHub, learn only from my code base, and things like that, and like never, like no IP. Intellectual property should ever leave my premises if I'm using GitHub Copilot. So, and Microsoft is aware of all of those things that they're working through.
Yeah, but sometimes it's scary, the stuff that it's able to do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what I want to write yet, and it writes what I exactly wanted to in the end. It's just like, Jesus, like how does it know? And then, but the crazy thing is the documentation or the commenting or writing just like English, not code. You know what I mean? I just say like this code, like, or this method does, and then it just writes down the documentation. Like I don't just, I still edit it. You know what I mean? I don't use it as is, but
it's a starting point, right? No, it is getting good.
Nice.
It is contextual. So I have tried doing some stuff with Maui. The problem is a lot of the things it's learning things from Xamarin code bases, which are out on GitHub. So it starts suggesting things with the wrong namespaces. But then again, I mean, you can fix them up.
Yeah. Every now and then I'll get a label instead of a text block or something. I'm like, no, that's not it. But it's almost there. My wife hates it. My wife's a professor, and she hates ChatGPT.
Mine too. My wife is a professor too, and it's I mean, educational systems, like they cannot just push back against all of AI. They just need to figure out how to use it right. And the plagiarism threats. I get it. It's just it's all early days. There are big ethical concerns about most types of AI. So we'll figure this all out.
Yeah, it's crazy times.
Yeah. All right, Steve. I know you're busy, but thank you for coming out and showing off some new things with Uno Platform. Love what you folks are doing at Uno Platform. This is all open source, and you're sharing the love with the community. So we love all of that. Maybe I'll get Andreas or Nick to come and talk about more of those specific topics. Maui Embedding or MVUX.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Thindle and everybody else, thanks for hanging out with us. This has been great. Hopefully you saw some of the real life, getting started experience and things you learn as you go along. So yeah, we all learn from each other. So we survive to fight another day. All right, folks, that's it. That's it for this stream. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you on the next show. Be well, take it easy, be productive. All right. All right. Bye for now.